Hello again, everyone. This is Andalyne, the Naturalist at Cambridge Butterfly Conservatory for another creature feature. And today we're going to meet an animal that came to live with us not that long ago. This is Bumble the Skink from Australia. Now, Bumble is a pretty special skink. As he's flicking out his tongue here in my hand, he's just trying to sense his surroundings. You might notice it's a really unique color. He's called a blue tongued skink because they have a pretty bright blue tongue. I'll just put him down here to let him see if he wants to crawl around and explore. Now, skinks are a type of lizard. They are a reptile, which means they're related to snakes and turtles, and they have scales. And like a snake, he's flicking his tongue out because he's tasting or smelling the air. He does have two eyes, as you can see, but they don't depend as much on eyesight as their sense of smell. So when he's flicking out his tongue, he's just trying to figure out what's going on around here. We'll let him walk around. Now, Bumble he's about 5 years old, and he comes from a region of Australia. Skinks are really friendly. Our staff like to often bring him out for people to meet up close. In fact, if you were to come give him a pat on the back, you can feel all those shiny, smooth scales, which are part of what makes him a reptile. But he's also a little shy. Being a skink, they spend a lot of their time underground, and they are a burrower and a ground dweller. So he likes to meet people, but he also likes his alone time. So we like to give him lots of places to hide. If he were to walk around a little bit, you might notice he's also a little clumsy. In fact, that's partly how he gets his name, Bumble. Skinks in general are kind of almost an awkward shape. He's quite long. He's got these kind of small legs for his body. So they're not the strongest runners or walkers. But that's in part to help them when they're more underground and crawling around on the ground. So here we go. He's going to start to explore a little bit. Bumble the skink is what you would call an omnivore, which is a fancy word for not a fussy eater. Bumble likes to eat a variety of plant and animal matter. So here we give him salads, and he likes veggies and greens and even the occasional flour. And he also gets dog food, which might sound a little funny, but that's got a lot of protein in it and a lot of good stuff, as well as live insect prey. So like so many animals in the world, Bumble is one of the ones that depends on insects for food. We like to give him the odd live cricket so he can hunt it. He really likes berries. So we have prepared some fresh strawberries to see if he might have a snack. I'll just leave them there, and we'll see if he smells them or senses them and might go for them. He does have a pretty good appetite, as it were. Partly goes hand in hand with being open to eating almost anything. He would eat all the time, so we have to kind of make sure he doesn't eat too much. Apparently, in Australia, where they're from, they are quite common. There's actually 7 species of blue-tongued skink, so Bumble is just one. And they've adapted quite well to living with humans. They're found in urban areas, sometimes even raiding trash cans. So they're kind of like the Australian equivalent to our raccoons here in Canada, that they don't mind eating the stuff that's lying around. I guess he's not really going to go for the berries, but that's okay. Bumble can do what he wants to do. Another really fun fact about Bumble is that, so we were already kind of talking about his 2 eyes that are on either side of his head there. So he sees pretty good side to side, but not so much above, even not so much in front. And skinks have a 3rd eye, actually, which is kind of on top of their head. It's hidden beneath a bunch of those scales, so you can't really see it if you're looking at them. But there's a 3rd eye there that detects light and dark and motion, and it's thought to help them sense if there's a predator above them so that they have time to run away, because as you can see, he's not the fastest moving animal. So if they can sense a predator early enough and get away. Also, another really fun defense mechanism is if a predator were to grab them, particularly from the back end, skinks can break off their tail. I know that might sound pretty crazy, but it's better to be able to get away with most of your body intact and be alive and just lose part of a limb that they can actually grow back. It would never look exactly the same, but they can, here you go. They can grow back their tail if it's broken off, which is a pretty nifty trick. I think he's eyeing up the strawberry here. Aha, there we go. So maybe you can catch a glimpse again of that blue tongue as he's extending it there. Why is their tongue blue? Well, there's a few reasons or theories for that. One is also to perhaps startle or confuse predators long enough for him to scurry away. Again, if there was a bird or a mammal going to eat him and he flashes the blue tongue, it might just kind of make them pause enough that he can escape. The blue tongue could also help to startle or confuse some of the live prey he goes for, like an insect or a little critter. Again, if there's a bit of a bright color suddenly flashed at them, it might cause them to pause long enough for him to gobble them up with his pretty wide mouth there. I think he looks pretty content with this berry. Good job, Bumble. But otherwise, he spends most of his time hanging out below a basking light. Being a lizard, being a reptile, he loves warmth. So he has a nice warm place to live, and he loves to dig around and crawl around. So hopefully sometime if you come visit us here at the conservatory, you can meet Bumble up close in person. I won't bother him now that he's just had a snack and he's digesting, but hope to see you sometime here soon, and tune in again for another creature feature in the future.